Right, here we go, everyone. We are back with Race Centre Live for the British GP qualifying, which I'm really excited about. But it was also 4th of July yesterday, and I'm really excited that Caroline's here. Caroline, why don't you introduce yourself and let us know what you're about, so people know.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kireth. It is an honor to be here with you guys. I was joking yesterday with my husband that this is proof of the beauty that history can provide us, that we can come together, a Brit and American, on the 4th of July weekend. But yeah, we're all here to share this love of Formula One and this excitement for the British Grand Prix. How are you feeling about it, Kireth?
I'm really excited because I actually don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, I saw, was topping timesheets yesterday. Now the McLarens look strong. Mercedes have been strong here previously. There's a lot of drivers, I think, with their stuff to prove. The British drivers always seem to raise themselves at Silverstone. So I just don't know. I think qualifying is going to be super exciting. And I think the race is going to be, it's one, for me, it is genuinely one of the best races in the calendar, not least because the tyres get punished. It's a high speed circuit and you can do some interesting strategies and make it work. I'll also be guiding a little bit maybe on the weather. I've been looking out my window, so I'm about like just over an hour away from Silverstone. So if I see it's raining, as it was earlier, I will let you know immediately.
Yeah,
Um,
Kirith is our on-site weatherman. He's here with us with that hour before prediction. So, you guys have a nice sneak peek into what you might see at Silverstone via Kirith's eyes, which is so exciting.
I'll take the camera and run out and look up to the
Yeah.
sky as it's raining. I can see Dave, or would you? How would you pronounce that, Caroline? Maybe is it Dave?
Dave with
Dave
2 A's.
doing a 360, and Michael as well in Race Centre Live. So that's where you need to be, by the way, if you want to be in with a chance of winning the incredible prize that we're running again in this Race Centre Live, which is you and a friend can go to Las Vegas, travel, accommodation. There'll be terms and conditions there. We're also going to be running some polls as well. So we really want to know what you think. I know you've got some friends, I think, Caroline, down at Silverstone in the Lando stand. What's the
Yes.
vibe being down there in Lando stand?
So the vibes are incredibly high over in the Lando stand. I don't know if anyone was watching any of the broadcast this morning with FP3. I guess it's this morning for us. I don't believe it's this morning quite for you guys over in England, but yes, the vibes are electric over there. Everything is themed to LN4. One guy had even buzzed his head and spray painted his head to look like Lando's helmet. The dedication is off the charts over there at the Lando stand. But as we're getting ready for this qualifying race, what would you say, Kireth, are some of your predictions?
I mean, you've just bigged up the Lando stand and Lando, and someone's got Lando's helmet on their head, which sounds frankly
Yeah.
dangerous. But quite cool to see that in someone jump in a Formula One car and see what that looks like.
Oh my goodness.
Not driving. I'm gonna go and let us know in all the chats, and I can see everyone in my chat as well.
Yeah.
Good to see everyone in Race Centre Live as well. Frederick, I'm gonna go for qualifying pole because I want to reserve my feeling about the race. I'm gonna go Oscar Piastri in the McLaren to get
Mm.
pole. I'll stick
All
by that.
right. That's a little bit dicey. Well, and it looks like we have some Spanish friends over here in the chat with our vamos.
Hmm.
Are you guys pulling for a Williams Carlos poll, or are you more of a Fernando Aston Martin poll? We'll see. But I myself am thinking more of a dreamer that Lando Norris might put it on pole in his home race. And of course, everyone would love to see Lewis. But yeah, I definitely think that Lando has got the momentum coming out of Austria with that pole and that he converted to the win. And that McLaren's looking fast in the chrome.
Yeah, I just think Orlando. I wasn't brave enough to say it because I don't. I'm not brave enough to deal with the consequences. I think a Lando pole is a massive statement. Like McLaren, I was at McLaren last weekend. They did a big thing in London this week. A ton of promo. You know, the chrome livery, which
Hmm.
maybe we'll be able to get some photos up today or tomorrow and show you. You can search on Google. It's a big weekend for McLaren. Like they are pumping a lot of money into this.
Yeah,
So
it is.
gets it, it's all gonna pay off. But
Well, and ladies and gentlemen, Kireth is so humble. He was at McLaren last week for a YouTube event because if you don't know who he is, he's kind of a big deal over on YouTube. So if you haven't checked him out, make sure that you do. But he's also a sim racer, correct, Kireth?
Yeah, the check will be in the post for that. So
Oh,
thanks.
perfect. Perfect. Well, I'm just so excited to be here with a sim racer who's going to be able to provide so much of that extra insight and content for us here on this live stream today.
I mean, Silverstone is a track I do a lot in sim racing. I have here actually the Mercedes sim racing
Oh
wheel.
my word.
So this is the official Mercedes sim racing wheel. It's a one-to-one replica of the real thing. So this is what Kimmy and George will be using, and
How
it is
exciting.
insane. Yeah, that you can use something like that in sim racing.
Now,
It's
was
just
that gifted to you or did you get that for yourself?
so actually for Race Centre Live in Monaco, I went over to the company that makes this wheel in the Netherlands,
Yeah.
and I did Race Centre Live from their office,
No way.
and they actually gave me a wheel to review. So at some point, I will be using this at Silverstone in the sim,
That's
and
amazing.
this is kind of a I don't know if you've ever been in a simulator cockpit, Caroline, but
Mhm.
like there's many different budget levels to it. And when I was at McLaren last weekend, I got to see like a not the top secret behind closed doors like proper sim, but one just below that. And it's like it looks like the car, and you're in there, and you have to put the harness on,
Wow.
6 point harness, and it is now getting like arguably super close. Yeah, I don't know if
That's
you have any
amazing.
experience or you want to do any sim racing, or we can do something, Caroline. We can do something with
Oh.
motorsport and get you in the sim and set a challenge. Maybe might be
Yeah, I
interesting.
sat in a sim for the very first time at the Miami Grand Prix. I went with Williams Esports and did a couple of things for them because they're doing a really good job of trying to reach out to kind of the unreached audiences that maybe haven't experienced sim racing because there's so much excitement within it. I had never experienced it myself, and they were kind enough to have me in the sim. I cannot say I did an amazing job. I wasn't setting any lap records, but I did improve my time by about 25 seconds, which I will take that margin. But I mean, I started slow, but
That's a good improvement.
yeah, thank you. I mean, it's a first time improvement, if you will. But so I want to hear over in the chat who you guys think is going to be topping the charts here in Quali. And what else do we have to offer going into this qualifying round?
Well, we got some polls. I mean, why don't we put up a poll, Caroline? Because
Yeah,
I
let's
know
do it.
that we have Mike in the background, producer Mike, who's really helping us do all
Yes.
this. And maybe a great first poll question here. I think we can pull up, which is which driver should McLaren focus on more, Lando or
Mm,
Oscar? Because I've said Oscar for poll. You've said Lando. We
yeah.
saw last time out in Austria how Oscar almost crashed into Lando, got a flat spot in his tire. Um, I think that poll might be coming up. But while that's up, what do you think about that, Caroline, in terms of, do you think McLaren should start to choose a number one driver, or do you think this two number one drivers can actually work?
I think that we started to see this struggle last year, at the end of last year, as the car was developing and both drivers were competing for wins. I have to say, I do think that McLaren has done a better job than most of managing what feels like two number one drivers. They have the history with Lando, and so the natural tendency, of course, is to favor Lando. However, the points don't lie, and Oscar is leading this championship right now by 15 points. And so they're faced with a really difficult decision. We saw a bit of a preview of it in Austria, I think, where you had Lando on pole. They gave Oscar the opportunity to seize the win for himself. He really had to do it in those first 20, 22 laps, and unfortunately, he couldn't make it stick. That's okay. I don't think there's any love lost because of it. And Lando ended up coming home with that win. They have to tread so lightly going into the rest of this season because you don't want to breed that competition between them too hard to the point where they double DNF each other and then nobody wins. But what do you think, Kireth?
I mean, I think the double DNF is interesting, and I think also the opposite. If you try too hard to avoid that happening, then there could be concerns. I'll just check in on the chat at the moment because I can see Craig saying Oscar for pole. Um,
Mm.
Alex Wilson saying Lando, Vlad saying Oscar, Craig saying it's Oscar as long as papaya rules don't apply. Because you sure it was
Oh.
McLaren headquarters? Sure, it looked more like Apex GP. I think you've seen the F1 movie, so we can get onto that. But just to answer your question, I think if Max Verstappen hadn't been taken out by Kimi, and we can talk about this penalty, if Max Verstappen, if the McLarens had double DNF'd and
Mhm,
Verstappen wins,
mhm.
the driver's championship position looks very, very, very different. In fact, it looks insanely different. Um, but then with what happened with, Oscar was delayed and coming into pit, he already had a flat spot, and that kind of built this buffer, and then it was too far. I just wonder if you're Oscar and you're leading the championship, whether you feel, hang on, this team doesn't really support me. And we saw that with this manager, Mark Webber at Red Bull. I
Mhm.
think it's more tricky than it might appear to manage this issue. And it's only going to get more of a problem the closer they are in the championship. So we'll see
Absolutely.
what happens today. But
We'll
I
see.
mentioned there Kimi. I don't know if you have a thought on that three-place. I think he's got a three-place grid penalty.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on that instant?
Yeah, it's something that I honestly think, Kireth, you might have more to offer as a experienced racer yourself. However, it's one of those things where I'm grateful that they are penalizing moves like that because sometimes in the past it can feel like a gray area, especially on lap 1. Sometimes it's a racing incident, sometimes it's given a harsh penalty. I felt like the right thing was for him to get that penalty. It's a real shame for Max because I think Max was really ready to show out for what feels like a home crowd for him.
Hmm.
And I know that the McLarens were super grateful to Kimi for that, pretty aggressive move, but if I'm not I mean, if I'm incorrect, I don't know. I think that this has opened the door to some kind of contract clause for Max. Is that true?
Well, people in the chat may have a better idea than we do. So let us know in the
Yeah.
chats if you do. But I understand there's some kind of performance exit clause from Max Verstappen that if he's in a certain place in the championship,
Yeah.
he can leave Red Bull. And the irony is that Mercedes have been, you know, there's this incredible image. I don't know if we can get up, but of Max sitting in a conference and like everyone's got their mobile phones and everything to get his opinion. And he has been asked repeatedly, like, "Are your management speaking with Mercedes?" He's
Mhm.
been very coy about it. Looks like that picture there. I mean, there we
Yeah.
go. Thanks, Mike, for putting that. I mean, what an incredible photo that is. Um, just unbelievable. Everyone wants to know, is Max going to go to Mercedes? And I did
Mhm.
think he was quite nonchalant when he got out the car and he was listening to Kimi. He was like, "Oh yeah, it happens," because it was such a critical point of the championship in terms of
Mhm.
the drivers' championship. 'Cause I think Max is now pretty much out of it.
Mhm.
But like I said, the McLarens were so close to that double DNF, really, when Oscar locked up. So, but speaking of drama like that, let's chat a little bit about the F1 movie because I think you've seen it,
Oh, yeah.
Caroline. What are
Yes,
your
yes.
thoughts like? Just what are your thoughts about it? I think there might be a difference now. Maybe British people view it and American people view it as well. So, like, what are
I
your
know.
thoughts?
I'm curious to have this conversation with you because I've experienced a bit of the same that people feel very passionately one way or the other about this movie. I tend to try to look at things from a positive perspective in the sense that it's a movie. Any movie that you've seen adapted on real life, it's not 100% accurate. So I tried not to come into this movie and I had plenty of spoilers. Social media did its work and I had all the spoilers, but I tried to go into it with an open mind, understanding that there were gonna be inconsistencies and just let myself enjoy it, and I will say I was very surprised that I was feeling the butterflies in my stomach that I feel on race weekends as they were 'cause the imagery, the sound, having Hans Zimmer do the soundtrack was such an incredible choice, and it really encapsulated the what we love so much about this sport, which is just that adrenaline rush and the feel. I think that Apple TV did a very, very good job producing this movie. They picked the right people behind it. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the way that women were represented wasn't 100% honoring. I think that they had a really good effort of putting women in leadership roles, showing that women can hold those leadership roles. The slight Hollywoodifying wasn't my absolute favorite. However, I think that there was redemption within it. It wasn't like it wasn't consensual. I felt like everything that happened with the women and for the women was consensual. There was a really poignant part where the female mechanic stands up for herself to the driver that I felt like they could have cut that out, and they didn't. And I don't wanna spoil anything for anybody, but I don't hear enough about that moment on social media. Everyone talks about the part where she made a mistake, and I thought to myself, "But she did a really good job standing up for herself in the face of that." But what did you think of the movie? Have you seen it?
So I haven't seen it yet, and
Okay.
I'll get onto that because I have read about that. I saw Emily selected a really interesting piece on it, but I can see Stash Gordon saying it's a must-watch movie.
Yeah.
Alex Wilson, myself, and the wife are going to see it next week. I hope it's as good as the hype. So, as a disclaimer, I am in the Gran Turismo movie, which was a movie that came out 2 years ago, also about racing and everything. And the Gran Turismo fan base, oh, that car's not right. In Gran
Yeah.
Turismo, it's a bit different. I can see the same thing happen with F1. I think it's a bit of a shame because I think if you probably just divorce yourself from that and just enjoy it as a movie, I'm definitely going to see it and I want to see it in IMAX and I want to just enjoy it as a roller coaster. I have read about the representation of women, and I think it is. I actually think it is quite disappointing because um, when you watch the Formula One broadcast, often when there's a wife or a girlfriend of a driver, and at the moment it's 20 male drivers, it comes up with like girlfriend of so and of so and
Mhm.
so, etc. And I thought it's really interesting last time around in Austria that on a grid walk from one of the broadcasters, they did make a deliberate effort to go and speak with female
Mhm.
engineers and people from every team and
Bernie
just
did,
is
yes.
yeah. So I'm a bit concerned that maybe there's some Hollywood production that have said we need this um kind of storyline in there, and I think it might it's going a few steps backwards. But I haven't seen the movie, but I've read the reception of it,
Yeah.
so I'll be interested to see what I feel about that. I'm not sure the movie necessarily would need it or not, but
Yeah,
I'll see
I
what.
agree with you that it didn't really need it, but that's a bit of the mark of Hollywood's, influence. I
Mhm.
think that Lewis having we screamed in the movie theater when we saw producer Lewis Hamilton towards the beginning of the movie because it's so clear seeing his fingerprint throughout the movies. It's so clear which moments he signed off on, which moments he was really intimately a part of, and I do have to say, I saw a quote. I think it was around the time of the premiere of the movie from David Croft, where he said that he originally wasn't going to be a part of the movie, and that Lewis Hamilton put his
Mm.
foot down and said, "If you want the voice of F1 doing this movie, you have to have, Crofty and Martin." And so
Mhm.
you hear them throughout the movie. It's pretty incredible. Hi, Shelby from Switzerland. Oh my goodness, look at the chat. This is looking amazing. People have watched it. Oh, are you planning to watch it in 4D, Kireth?
Well,
Zayrod said watch it in 4D.
I was planning to watch it in IMAX, and I can see
Okay.
that Jack saying home team in IMAX, Michael IMAX the best way. But I heard someone saying in 4D, it's literally insane. So I might
Yeah.
need to. I don't know where you watched it.
I
Uh,
watched we didn't have a 4D option. We only had the IMAX option, but I will say from my friends that watched it in 4D said, "Don't get popcorn because you won't get to eat it in
okay.
4D. You will be shaking the entire time. It will be on the floor."
So you were saying in Race Center Live, there was smells, water, and movement. It was so cool. I really want to do that. Actually, I really want to do it.
The smells, that has to be hard to do, but what an experience.
I might have to wear my racing helmet, get my
Yes, you
take my tear
should.
off.
I wore a race suit to go see it, and I got a few strange looks
Oh, nice.
in the theater, but I joked with my husband because I lost a bet with some of my followers, and they said that I had to wear the race suit, and so I'm a woman of my word, and I wore it, and I got funny looks going in, but I got different looks coming out because everyone suddenly thought it was really cool because we had just seen the movie, so I highly recommend it.
Shelby's saying, love that you styled it out for the film. I love the
Thanks,
commitment.
Shelby. Yes, I recommend it for anyone and everyone that goes to see it. It really puts you in the driver's seat, if you
Mhm.
will.
Um, a Chaya in chat is saying rain started, light rain for now. So we'll keep an eye on that
Oh.
because that could make things very interesting for qualifying in particular. And yes, qualifying starting in 10 minutes. But it's great to chat about the movie because I think as someone who's been watching Formula One for longer than I care to admit, before maybe Formula One, you know, Liberty had taken over and all this kind of stuff. I think it's great we have a Formula One movie. I think it's better
Mhm.
than we do than we don't. So I'm less of a cynic about it.
Oh,
Um,
good. Now, with you having a slight drizzle, ironically, across the pond here, we just started having a slight drizzle, so maybe it's an omen. But what does this look like for the teams looking at strategy for qualifying today, knowing that they might have incoming rain?
so normally what happens, so qualifying is split into three parts, and I can see some camera crew kind of rushing around, so maybe it's starting to rain, need to protect their equipment. But normally what happens in the first part of qualifying is the drivers will go out, do a run, they'll come back in, and they'll kind of like do another couple of runs. What we
Mhm.
might see now is that the cars get fueled up a little bit more than they would otherwise, and you're just kind of circulating, setting laps, because if it starts to rain, the track is actually going to get slower. So the laps
Mm.
you need to get through might be set earlier on. So that'll be interesting to see if drivers are trying to set quicker laps earlier than we see. I can see Sarah on the grid saying, I just woke up and Ollie, did you see he's got a 10-place grid drop? Yeah, great spot, Sarah, on the grid.
Yeah, well
And
done.
welcome Yogi as well. What did you think about that incident with Oliver Behrman? Because it's a little bit hilarious, to be honest.
It
Um,
is. I don't know if you saw Max Verstappen's onboard because Max was right behind
I
him.
haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, it's funny. We took a break right before we got started, and I looked it up just to see what happened, and I think his brakes were a little too cold, and so he just lost control of the car and bumped into the wall, and Max from behind him chuckled, and was like, "Ha ha ha! Someone's just crashed at the pit entry."
It is, from a driver's perspective, it is quite funny to see that.
Yeah,
You know, it's not, no one's going to get hurt. It's like,
yeah.
but yeah,
Now
keep your
for
comments coming in, everyone, as well, so we can answer them.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, we want this comment section and we want this stream to be a place where you can ask any question. There are no dumb questions. If you're brand new to Formula One, if you're brand new to motorsport, we are a safe place for you to come. We're here to help. In a lot of ways, I'm so glad to be able to have Kireth here again because he is such a seasoned professional in this. And I wanted to ask, what's the justification for a 10-place grid penalty for crashing in the pit lane like that?
I think the pit lane is seen as such an important place for safety. Um, so when I was at McLaren last week, I was actually doing pit stops, not in a, but I was on the gun and like doing
Oh,
pit stops.
wow.
And it's kind of, I was thinking, I was saying to the mechanics there, this is kind of insane. Like they do the pit stop, they change all four wheels, the car goes up in 2 seconds. It's such a dangerous thing. The car's steaming in, still at 60 miles an hour, whatever, comes to a stop exactly where the gun, the gun mechanic is. There's carbon fiber everywhere. The brakes are hot. The tires are hot. The driver wants to go. There's no safety. It's not like it's a minimum stop time. I actually don't think you could really introduce it these days to
Mm,
do that because it's so dangerous. So they don't mess around in the pit lane. I think what happened, I saw one clip of the Behrman spin. It looked like
mhm,
he was maybe coming in too hot and wanted to scrub the speed. So they want to make sure that he never does that
mm,
again, really.
yeah.
Um, there's a great question in here. I'll just Ty saying saw the F1 movie last weekend with Dad. We loved it. 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
Oscar season going to start.
Oh,
But question for you, Caroline. Rival
yeah,
says, why is that F1 drivers are always walking somewhere when they're being interviewed? Because now you think about it,
yeah.
they're always on the prowl.
Yeah, that's a good point. I maybe they have to keep their steps up. I mean, they all have those watch I'm joking 100%. But oh, good morning from Los Angeles. Hi, J
Morning.
Para 88. Lovely to have you.
What time is it in LA?
It is early. It would be 7, almost 7 a.m. over in LA. I have to say, the Californian fan or the West Coast fans of the United States, they're more than California. They are very dedicated fans. They are the ones that are getting up at 6 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to be able to see these races. So you guys are in many ways the unsung heroes. But oh, someone's giving a shout out to your pit stop video. It was insane. Do you know what your time was on your pit stop in
Yeah,
McLaren?
7 seconds.
Oh, nice. Sign
So
him up.
if we ever see a pit stop tomorrow, that's more than 7 seconds. I can smugly go. But I shot it with some glasses. I had some cameras in my glasses, and there's actually a few more videos to come. And there's one, I don't want to spoil it, but there's one where the nut comes out of the wheel, and we have to catch
Oh.
it before it smashes into the priceless McLaren technology center. And
Wow,
it was
that's
awesome.
wild. Now, have you seen we also I'm throwing this on Kireth. We did not discuss this beforehand. Have you seen I believe it's the Aston Martin team has lights on their on the outside of the wheel nuts that turn red and green. So it's red when it's loose, green when it's tightened?
I haven't seen that, but I can let you know now that when you put the wheel gun in, I don't have a wheel nut here, but I need to get one. But it has teeth in it basically,
Mhm,
and you need to make sure that the wheel gun is actually seated in the teeth.
mhm.
Otherwise, it's just going to chew. It's not going to be efficient. So you need to seat it in. Then you take it takes a nut out, so the nut is now in the gun, and you flick a switch so it goes the other way, and you put it back, and it's easy in. But that getting it in and knowing that your gun is actually in the nut is quite
Mhm.
difficult. And the one where
Absolutely.
the nut came out, I didn't fully have it in. So I can completely see
Oh.
having that thing. I mean, we saw, I can't remember what race it was, but Red Bull had an absolute calamity a few races ago when the traffic
Mhm.
light system wasn't working.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of technology is actually great. So I need to keep an eye out for that because now I'm
Yeah.
really invested in like the pit
Yeah.
stop game.
Aston Martin has really been trying to work on some of those small little developmental changes. Sarah on the grid, girl, get your coffee and get back over here because I'm loving this commentary of the tires being Christmas themed. I am completely on board with that. Maybe at Christmas we should all put them around our tires so that we can feel like we're Formula 1 drivers at Christmas.
Yes, definitely.
I love it.
I can't believe we're just 3.5 minutes to go, by the way, till the start of
Yes.
qualifying. Um, I had a couple more questions come in.
Sure, sure.
Alex saying, just watching F1 again after a long break. I grew up during the era of Hill, Schumacher, Irvine, Coulthard, etc. How do you guys think today's F1 compares to years gone by? I think it's more competitive now than it's ever been. And I really genuinely mean that, both the drivers and the cars. And we kind of take it for granted, like how close the grid is, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Um,
Now, an experienced professional in the UK, do you agree with what Drive to Survive has done for the sport, or do you kind of roll your eyes a little bit?
I think there's an element that when you have a culture that supports something and it's kind of an in thing, there's going to be jealousy, uncomfortableness when it's expanded.
Mhm,
So I completely get it. But I think Drive to Survive is a great thing, having this investment in the sport that you love and bringing more eyeballs to it. There's some things that I don't like about Formula One that I wish they would change. I think the tickets are too expensive,
mhm,
and I think some of the historical circuits they should really keep on the calendar, like Spa should be on. So there's things I don't agree with, but I think in Drive to Survive, I think just expanding the people who are interested and also telling the stories of the drivers, I think has been incredible because I've been to F1 races, I've sat in the grandstand, and you see the car come around. This is back in the day before the Halo. You don't necessarily know which driver's in the car because, but now you feel that you know the driver in the car. That's Lando. I
mhm,
understand his character. I understand what his interests are. That's Lewis. I get it. That's Fernando. I get it. So I think that just makes it richer. But I don't know
mhm.
I'm really interested to hear your perspective on that as we've got a minute and a half to go.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll keep it short and sweet. I don't have quite the depth of history of being a fan of this sport that you have. It was a great question asking about how it has developed since the 90s and early 2000s. Unfortunately, I was a toddler, so I wasn't following quite so closely. However, it's definitely been exciting to see the way Drive to Survive has opened the door for fans to come in and ease their way into this fandom with something more like personalities. And then you get in and you realize there's so much more you can learn. There's so much to love about it that you didn't necessarily need to know to be a fan of the sport, but it does enrich the experience. And so I think it's done a really, really good job of bridging that gap and bringing us in. Now, I do believe we're about 30-ish seconds out from getting started. I hope everybody's settled in on their couch. They have their coffee in hand or their afternoon cocktail if you're over across the way and are ready for this qualifying or this Q1 session.
Yeah, I can see Lewis is looking resplendent in his yellow gloves and helmet in the
Mhm.
Ferrari. Why don't we throw out a Caroline to all the chats? Let us know. Just put the name of the driver you think is going to get pole.
Oh, yes.
And meanwhile, Jack in Race Centre Live says, "What's a traditional British cocktail for Silverstone?" It would definitely be Pimm's. I think. I don't know how you
Mm.
define Pimm's. Someone's got to help me out. But it's just a Pimm's thing.
Ooh, someone's saying Leclerc, they're gonna take it. Leclerc is gonna take it from Lewis, huh? Oh, and we've
Tiffany
got a
saying
lot of
Lewis.
Lewis.
Yeah. Tifosi obviously going to say Lewis.
I mean, we just need to see Lewis on the podium. That's what we need to see.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis winning last year in the Mercedes, I think he didn't get enough credit for that, to be honest.
Agreed.
In a season where it went from Red Bull domination to kind of McLaren domination.
I mean, I cried with it being his last race in Silverstone with Mercedes, winning, laying on the couch with my daughter weeping. She's trying to figure
Yeah.
out what's wrong.
The
Feels
interesting
like it
thing
could
is
be anyone's.
there's a lot of British fans who don't like Lewis Hamilton.
Really?
Yeah. And this goes back a long way with like drivers, they were Button fans or, they didn't like him leaving McLaren because they're real hardcore McLaren fans. So sometimes it's cool, like counterculture, not to like the person who's dominating.
Gotcha.
But I feel like it, and there's people who are say Lewis is cynical, saying he really loves the British GP. But I really do think it really does mean a lot to him,
Mhm.
genuinely. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him raise his game here. We saw he got the sprint win in China. But we are underway now.
Yes, we are. Also, Shelby G has helped you out with PIMS. I don't know if this is correct, but she said it's the English equivalent of sangria, just lighter.
I can approve. I can go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So get your PIMS, everybody.
And Sarah's saying this track is so well suited to Lewis Hamilton's driving style. His record here is unmatched.
Yeah.
Literally. Incredible.
He turns it into another gear when he comes here. The first race I ever watched was Silverstone, and Lewis had won. And I just remembered thinking, how could anyone ever beat him? Because he is just on a whole nother level at Silverstone.
Yeah. And seeing Lewis win in Ferrari here would be, that would give me chills down the back of my spine. Motorsport.com reminding us, is Sir Lewis Hamilton as well? That we often forget.
Yes, excuse me, Sir Lewis Hamilton. We will only refer to him as such. Now we just saw a flash shot on the broadcast of the weather, so it looks like their knees are shaking a little bit. They're
Is
getting
there
a
a
little
shot of that in the
nervous.
F1 movie over the shoulder on a radar screen? Because I feel like that's such an iconic Formula One. Like Formula One, like the starter pack meme. I think that would be in there, like over the shoulder. Then yes, interviewing a driver as they're walking.
Yes, so iconic.
But Kudashe saying watching from Rwanda. Let us know in all the chats where you're watching from. Gasly, if you're seeing what I'm seeing, Caroline saying some drizzle. So in the Alpine.
Now, if we have anybody in the chat that's here watching and watching with us and at the track, any live updates you can give us in the chat, we are here for.
Yeah, we can maybe make some strategy calls.
Absolutely.
Better than some of the teams. We've got Seattle here, Netherlands, Japan, UK, India. So it looks like
Seattle.
We're
Good morning. Good morning, Seattle. It is very early for you.
I can see drops of water on lenses. So maybe what I said, Caroline, might be happening, which is that the drivers are going to come out early and try and set times early. There's a bit of the track, I don't know if you can see as well, that's by Magus and Beckett. If you might see some odd buildings there, those are actually apartments.
Really?
That you can, well, theoretically you could buy. They're quite expensive.
Yeah, you're renting them, really?
Oh, I imagine the people actually rent them out if you bought it for the weekend to make your money back. But they actually built some accommodation there on the side of the track, which is pretty insane.
So I saw a friend of mine that I follow. She lives in one of those. She posted a video the other day of her morning routine in her apartment that's on the Silverstone track. And I thought to myself, wow, what a dream. But it's good to hear that they're so expensive because I had the thought, surely they can't be cheap. And if you own one of those and you rent it out for Silverstone weekend, I mean, you probably make up your rent for the whole year.
Yeah, it's on the exit of turn 13. I think Mike's just pulled up the map. So on the outside of turn 13, that's where they are.
Lovely.
Sarah says, I need a dictionary of Russell's race. Oh, wow, look at this. We've been able to zoom in. So on the outside there, they built these...
that grey box?
The grey box is the grandstand.
Oh, okay,
so it's just after it, I think, on the right-hand side.
Lovely.
Sarah saying, I need a dictionary of Russell's race terminology. It's spitting. It's spitting means it's raining lightly. I don't know if that's a British thing.
But don't be confused because sometimes Russell will say it's raining
and is
when he's
sweating.
really just sweating on his forehead. So he's not a reliable weatherman. He has proven that.
So we are underway in qualifying. Hopefully we'll
It
have the
looks like
timer
Albon
up.
just put in the fastest lap, but there's still plenty left to go.
Yep, 126.3 for Albon, and hopefully we'll also get the standings view as well, so we can let you know exactly who's doing what. But at the moment, it is Albon, Colapinto, Gasly, Stroll,
Mm.
Bortoleto, Hulkenberg is your top six. Not a top six you might expect, because those drivers have just gone out early and set lap times. And Verstappen is just starting his lap time now. Any predictions, Caroline? Do you think he's going to go straight to the top here?
So I do think that Max will go straight to the top. The question that I have at this point is it more strategic for them to try to go out and get their faster lap now and not push it to the end of Q1 in the event that it rains?
If it rains, then yes,
Yeah.
because you will have less grip if it rains. So it's an interesting dynamic, and we can see Max has already gone purple. Welcome,
Now,
Snowline. Welcome, everyone joining us.
yes, welcome, welcome. Question for those of us who might be somewhat newer to the sport. There's a term called track development that comes into play a lot of the time in qualifying. Kireth, do you mind explaining a little bit what the track development looks like at Silverstone?
Yeah, I think normally we would call it track evolution.
Mhm.
And the standard thing is that the track gets faster during a session because more rubber goes down and you have more grip. So what happens in the rain? Two things happen. Firstly, the rain comes and you just generally have less grip. The other thing is when the rain comes down, the rubber that previously was giving you grip becomes very slippery. So if you ever go to a circuit and it's raining, definitely go out there with your umbrella and put your feet over the rubbery parts of the track, and you'll see just how slippery it is. That's
Mm.
partly why there's definitely a wet line now. This
Mhm.
is this is must be getting quite wet actually. This must
But
be
they're
getting
still
quite.
out on the slicks.
They're still out on the slicks because there's no point. Well, this is going to be very interesting. I wonder if some teams have made a big mistake now. I'm trying to see, my picture's a little bit grainy, but if there's a dry line, that means the circuit's wet. And I'm looking at people like Russell haven't set a time, Piastri hasn't set a time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, are they?
Piastri's out there. He's in sector 3 now.
So let's see what Piastri does versus Verstappen, Caroline. Maybe you can see when he
Mm.
goes over because Verstappen
Here
did
he
a
comes.
126
And
dead.
he went faster. Wow. And here comes Lewis. Lewis went in faster than Leclerc. Okay.
Yeah, so this track has still got grip to have, so these drivers can still get up there. And you want to avoid being in the bottom five basically in Q1. That's how this qualifying is split into three parts. We're in the first part, and in this first part, the bottom five drivers will get knocked out. Sarah's saying maybe the
Yes.
track's just sweaty in George Russell terms.
Michael, you asked what onesie is the little one wearing tomorrow. So, good question. Ironically, last night we put our daughter in her Formula One pajamas. So it is. She's a fan of the sport, and oh, Kirith, I don't know that I've told you the my followers have are familiar with the lore, if you will. My daughter's never seen Max Verstappen win. Every
Hmm.
single time she watches someone other than Max wins. Every single time she naps, Max wins. So we will see if that will be broken tomorrow,
Is she
but
watching tomorrow?
I don't know. It's up to
Okay.
my husband because I'm here with you guys. It's up to my husband whenever he puts her down for her nap. So the fate of Max Verstappen is in my husband's hands, if you will.
Okay, I like that law.
Yeah.
That's like in football, there used to be an octopus that would pick every year the football
Yeah.
World Cup winner. Some like prophecy octopus thing.
Yeah, it was
Um,
wild because it started last year, and her first race she watched last year was, Australia, where I believe Carlos won. And, everyone thought
yes,
Max
he
was gonna
did.
win. Everyone thought
Yeah,
Max was gonna win, and then the next one she was asleep and Max won, and then it just kinda went from there.
9 minutes to go. I'm just trying to see. Sonoda in the Red Bull's gone around and hasn't improved. He's P14. So our bottom five drivers are essentially the top five I was telling you a few minutes ago: Colapinto, Gasly, Stroll, Bortoleto, Hulkenberg. So it looks like that track evolution, as we were saying, has not
Mhm.
flipped over to the point where you can't set faster laps yet. Welcome,
Mm.
Sunshine, Sarah, as well. Maybe that's also going to bring the sunshine now. We'll see.
Yeah, it looks like George Russell is panicking a little bit on his radio. For
Hmm.
those of you that are watching the broadcast, I think he's not. I don't think even he trusts his own weather instincts at this point. So we'll see what they end up doing with him. Someone asked if my daughter is a future driver. We'll see. We took her to the arcade yesterday, and her favorite game was the Mario Kart. So we'll see. Hope the moving went well. Moving went great. We're moved in. Thank you. Oh, yellow flag. Oh, it looks like it was an Alpine that's
I'm
gone off
just
the
wait.
track.
Just wait.
That's a
Oh yes,
lot
it
of
was.
dust.
Colapinto on the last corner has spun and tapped the barrier. That will be a red flag, I'm sure, because I'll just want to stop the session.
It
It's not a
looks
big.
like he's making his way out
Yeah, it's
of
not
the
a
gravel.
big. Oh, well, yeah. Sorry, he is driving the wrong way and going to rejoin. So I take that back. It's not going to be a red flag. I would say that's quite embarrassing. That is a very easy corner to spin on in sim racing. Has he come to a stop now?
He's barely rolling along. It looks like there's something wrong here.
So yeah,
He's got to
it's
try to
just
make it all the way back around.
yeah, he's literally on the pit straight. So he's got to go all the way. His rear wing is not reconnected. He's got an issue with rear suspension. He should just pull over, frankly. Um, but I don't think this is a good look for Colapinto because he
Oh
is spinning a
no.
lot. I was going to say it's very easy to spin in that corner in sim racing because
Mm.
you're getting on the power with a lot of lock. But these are Formula One drivers; they shouldn't be making those sort of mistakes. Really, you can see there. Mike's pulled up the stats for Colapinto.
Colapinto's had a real up and down career thus far because he stepped in for Logan Sargent last year with the Williams racing team, now the Atlassian Williams Racing. And then this year stepped in for Jack Doohan. If you're a Jack Doohan fan, I'm sorry you won't see him today. Um, and hasn't really had a ton of success since stepping in for Jack. Am I wrong?
He's flattered to deceive. Really, it definitely
Mhm.
hasn't been consistent. McGurk, yes, potentially some barrier damage, at least to the advertiser for this race.
Mm.
Sarah saying he's got shaky legs, and Sarah with that grimace face. I don't think it's good for Colapinto. Flavio Briatore involved in some capacity at Alpine, executive advisor, because I don't think he's actually allowed to formally be part of the team.
That's
And
right.
Colapinto has stopped somewhere.
Yes, we are red flagged. The session has been stopped. So all right, Kireth, what does this mean for the remainder of the 6 minutes and 49 seconds left in Q1
So it
with
means
rain
a
incoming?
few things. Definitely put your red flag emojis in. Exactly, you say the rain coming. If the rain was to come now, because there's going to be a longer delay, maybe 5 minutes or so, I don't know. If the rain comes down in that point, the track will be slower in the track evolution sense, and no one will be able to improve, which means our bottom five isn't going to change. Now, if the track actually gets faster because of other track evolution, maybe temperature, whatnot, the sun comes out, then there's a great opportunity for that bottom five to come out and take themselves out of the bottom five.
Mm.
Sonoda at the moment is in P15. He's right on the edge. Antonelli in P13, right on the edge as well. Liam Lawson in P14, who's done well recently, is right on the edge. But I just feel like, just one more thing I want to say about this qualifying session,
Yeah.
Caroline, is that because of the threat of rain, at least, the drivers have been going around setting a lot of laps. That means they're doing a lot of laps on these tyres.
Mm.
So we saw George Russell say, "What tyres am I going to go on?" And his team said the same set. They don't want to be burning through a lot of sets of tyres here because that could cost them in Q3 even in this
Mhm.
qualifying session today or in the race. But I can't see any difference on the rain from what I see.
Yeah, it looks like that the very, very end there. Now, my question would be, did Colapinto hop off of the dry line, which is what caused that slip?
So that last corner, I'll get the wheel out. So that
Yeah.
last corner is very easy to spin in sim racing because what happens is it's a very tight last corner where you want to run all the way out to the exit. There's like a green and black curb, and then you want to get on the power while you have the wheel turned a lot, and you want to hit. There's a red curb on the inside near the pit wall that you basically want to clip. So it's a opportune moment to spin the car because you're putting a lot of torque through the rear wheels and the car. So if there's any change in grip on that curb that you're on, for example, some moisture, then
Mhm.
absolutely yes, that can induce a spin. But I would say we've seen 19 other drivers not crash.
Mhm.
So these should be the best drivers in the world. And I just wonder if this crash for Colapinto, maybe we can pull up the stats again for Colapinto. The race starts now. He's had quite a few race starts in Formula One because end of last season as well. Had a big crash at Sao Paulo last year.
Mm-hmm.
He had a big crash at Imola this year. Pierre Gasly, very experienced teammate, has been doing some decent stuff. I just wonder whether, should they have stuck with Doohan? Why is Colapinto not kind of a little bit more of a mentality of I'm going to bed myself into the season?
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts off the top of my head. But I'd be very interested to know what people in the chat think. So absolutely write in all the chats what you think about Franco
Please
Colapinto.
do, because I know that Franco has some very loyal supporters and some very loyal fans that want to see him succeed and do really well.
That's one way of putting it.
For South America. So
yes. Yeah. So a question from Motorsport. What do we think of the liveries this weekend? Well, we would be remiss not to talk about the chrome livery.
Yes.
Yeah, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. What are your thoughts about this chrome? Not 100% chrome, but there's chrome on the McLaren. And it's not just the Google chrome, it's actual metal chrome.
I do love the double meaning with them having the Google Chrome partnership and also then therefore putting chrome on the car. I think it looks really sleek. I think it looks really fast. It's cool. I mean, I feel like it would be cooler if it was sunny, because then you could see the light of the sun really bouncing off of that chrome.
It's England.
Unfortunately, it's cloudy.
It's gonna be
so they'll have to try it again another maybe in Austin, Texas. But I do really love it. I agree. We spoke briefly about this before the broadcast that they have to have the papaya on it. It's a bit like when Ferrari says they're having a blue livery and then it's like one streak of blue. It was a little bit, I think they did a better job than the Ferrari in Miami, but they have to have that papaya on the nose. But it would have been cool with all chrome. What do you think?
I think they should have got rid of that papaya bit. I think it would have been all chrome. I was, like I said, I was at McLaren and I just saw the 98 car, the 99 car, 2000 car, all the way up to like the 05, 06 car with Fernando Alonso. The chrome, just unbelievable. But I think on liveries, BCR, I throw back to old Vodafone McLaren with the chrome.
Yeah.
I think on the liveries, I think Emily Selleck was speaking with the designer of the Red Bull special livery. So if that's the case, I think we might have a little video.
The VCARB?
Yeah, the VCARB, sorry.
Yeah,
we might be able to throw it up.
I'm here at Flannels in central London, where VCARB have launched their Silverstone livery. Now, it was designed by the artist Swan, who's recently collaborated with the likes of Louis Vuitton, Rolex, Ferrari. We're going to speak to him today and chat to the drivers as well. So come along with me as I get to learn a bit more about this livery. And how did the partnership with Hugo and VCARB come together?
It was very collaborative. I mean, 50-50 or 33-33, I think. It's 33.3%. But yeah, so it was shared equally. They gave me feedback, I gave them some feed and whatnot. So yeah.
And tell me about the design. What was the inspiration? What was kind of the first thing you put to paper? Where did it come from?
You know what? I just gave them a little bit of my world, so they don't take too much of their world. I gave them a little bit so that's not too outlandish, and they did what they did with it.
And were there anything that was different about designing for a car versus, a canvas or fashion?
Because for a car, you got to think about the curvature and all the other things there. So obviously, I want to mess with it, but F1 cars go fast. So I don't think I'm equipped to make the changes for it to go faster. So I just gave them some graphics that they could mess around with. So.
Do you think fashion and art's kind of playing a role in that?
Everything's kind of merging, honestly.
Yeah.
So everyone's got some on this side and that's their side. So I feel like the world feels very divided right now, but I feel like things go really bad for it to become good. And I hope it becomes good. And I hope everyone gets freed and everyone ends up having a not hive mind situation, but more togetherness and unity. So that's all I'm hoping comes from these sort of things, like little by little by little.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
2 minutes to go till we restart. Asking in the chat what that was. That was the VCARB Silverstone livery. He certainly knows his percentages,
Yes.
which is maybe important as a designer. How much of
Yeah,
the car am I going to
absolutely.
use? Yeah, on this color and whatnot. So I guess thoughts on the livery, Caroline?
So I saw the livery leaked a little bit through their merch when they dropped the special edition shirts that went with this for Silverstone, and I was a little confused at first. I'm personally not as familiar with this artist, which I think shows maybe that I should have done a little bit more research on the artist, because I was confused by the design at first, but I came to understand that this is a staple for him. This is kind of his signature design, this kind of bubble. But it was a little confusing to me at first because typically he does it with color. So each almost little bubble piece has color within it. And then it looks like it has two eyes at the top. But without the color, it did confuse me a little bit. But what did you think?
I don't fully get it. I'll just be honest. Like, I don't
Yeah.
fully get it. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's trendy. I saw a lot of people I know in the background, so it seemed like it was a cool vibe.
Mhm.
But I'm not cool enough to really understand it. So
Yeah.
for me,
I
like
I'm with
Chrome is
you.
simpler. I get it.
I will say, I think that my confusion was more with the shirts than they were with the car liveries themselves, because the shirts where they put it on the stomach looks like intestines because there's no color.
Mhm.
I thought to myself, is that supposed to be their intestines? That like they've got guts, like they've got moxie, they've got
Oh yeah,
guts.
here we go. Mike's pulled it up.
Yeah.
It is kind of intestinal.
Yeah,
So
and then that's when I did my research on the artist to see, no, this is just his signature look, and he normally puts colors within
well,
each of those spheres.
I would say just numbers in the chat, everyone. Let us know how you rate that livery out of 10.
Mhm.
But we are green flag now, so we are underway. So we'll get back to all of the action here. It's great that we can do stuff in the breaks like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
the weather, I'm trying to see people in the grandstands. Do they have umbrellas? Do they have the ponchos on? I'm very interested to see if it is going to be wetter or
I'm
if the
seeing
track
a few
temperature's going.
ponchos. I'm seeing a
Okay.
few, but also it looks like that upper grandstand was covered, so everybody was fine, but the lower grandstand had a few ponchos.
Yeah, Achaya in my chat saying Verstappen mentioned it's raining more than before the red flag. So
Oh.
if that is the case, we may not see a change here to the standings. And just to remind everyone, there's three parts of qualifying: Q1, Q2, Q3. They happen in order. We're in Q1 at the moment. There's about 6 minutes to go. And what happens in Q1 is all 20 drivers go out, try and set as fast lap time as they can. And at the end of the session, so in 6 minutes' time, the bottom 5 drivers get knocked out of qualifying. And the bottom 5 drivers right now are Bortoleto in 16th, Ocon in 17th, Hulkenberg in 18th, Colapinto in 19th, who's probably out, and he is definitely out, and Gasly in P20. So it's not good news for the Alpines. I
I
wouldn't
have a
predict any
question.
changes there.
Yeah. I have a question. In light of some of these penalties that we're seeing with Kimi Antonelli and with Ollie Behrman, assuming that the timings don't change, right, because of these conditions, does that then mean that, say, Hulkenberg would get into Q2?
You wouldn't get into it, would be done after qualifying. It's a bit of a
Right.
shame that sometimes because
Yeah.
a driver could show what they could do in qualifying.
Yeah.
Frederick saying Kireth looks so unimpressed. I think with the shirt, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and like I don't fully understand it. So maybe I have to see it in person. But you can see that my merchandise is quite boring.
Well,
So,
JG24 Test wants to get you one of those shirts
okay,
so that you can rep the artist in style.
we will see. Hamilton's saying the track is definitely more slippery. So I would say, Caroline, actually, maybe there's more of a risk here that you end up spinning the car and beaching it and you get knocked out of qualifying. And
Mm.
maybe you just want to go around. Is it even worth trying to set a time?
That's what I was gonna ask for, like, Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen in 1 and 2. Did they I mean, they're out there, but
Mhm.
did they it looks like Alonso stayed in the pits.
Mhm.
Uh, did they risk it? What do you guys think in the chat? Would you risk it?
Risk it for the proverbial
Biscuit?
Yeah, on Q2 entry. Let us know. BCR saying times not improve. Drivers are being told through radio need to be careful because certain areas of the track are becoming slippery. That could be what happened to Colapinto on that curb. Just a reminder as well, I believe in the stream we are going to be doing some more of the quiz questions that you want to be entering if you want to win that incredible prize Motorsport are giving away for you and a friend to go to the Las Vegas GP, which is insane. So you'll need to be in Race Center Live for that. So maybe we'll do some of that in the break between Q1 and Q2. But as it stands, there's 3 minutes to go.
Yes. And in order to enter to win, you have to answer those questions. You can't just look at them. You have to answer them, correct?
And they're difficult.
Yes,
I
they're
don't
hard.
think I would win if I was eligible. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you saw a few more angles of that spin, Caroline. That last corner is very tight at Silverstone. It's a very tight corner. And I really like how it forces you to go on the curb to open up the corner. It makes it more tricky than it. For me, that's a harder corner than Copse, which is turn 9, which is the iconic can you go flat out at Copse. Yeah, so this is a corner I'm talking about, 18. It's a very tight corner. And it's such a long straight after it because the first corner is often kind of flat or just a little lift. So you really want to maximize it. But if we can zoom over after this and show you turn 9, even though it's much faster, I think is actually easier. If you look here, turn 9, there's loads of runoff on the exit. You take a track limit if you mess it up. This used to be the first corner at Silverstone before they built this new big pit complex. And in fact, this is the first corner for some other forms of racing, like GT racing. So Verstappen provisionally fast at the moment, as you can see on the screen.
Yes, and it looks like Kimi just made his way up to 8th.
But someone must have knocked him out, Caroline. For him to be in 16, someone must have knocked him out. Bortoletto went up to P14.
Wait,
Yeah.
Stroll in 16th?
Yeah, so Bortoletto has improved out of the drop zone. So the track is still fast enough for you to improve. And Lawson's now in P18. So when the leaderboard flicks over everyone, you'll see who the bottom 5 are with 1.5 minutes to go.
And Charles looks like he's going slow. And it almost looks like there's something coming out of the back of his car.
I wonder if that car has dropped down a bit because that's sparking more than I would expect.
Yeah.
Almost with like a blue hue coming out of it. They run the car so low.
Ooh.
But yeah, that didn't look normal to me. I mean, unless they are just running a super low ride out here, which I would advise Ferrari against going too much because they got disqualified in China for that.
Yes.
But it's all about the bottom 5 now. And at the moment, it's Lance Stroll 16, Hulkenberg, but there you go. Hulkenberg, actually, that's updated.
Well, and here comes, I think, Hajar. Yeah. So it looks like people are improving on their times. And
BCR Esports saying, great question. Who's going to waste another set of softs? Sarah on the grid saying, Behrman just went first. He did. It's such a shame with that 10th place grid drop at the end. But
oh, wow. And Carlos has purpled sector 1.
I like how it says W Science because of the Williams leg. So Carlos Sainz needs to go purple because he is in the drop at the moment. He is in P16 as it stands. I don't think Gasly's going to improve. But having said that, he's just improved himself on sector 1.
And on sector 2.
Oh my God, Caroline. Hamilton potentially at risk here. P14 at the moment.
Oh, okay. We just saw...
improves. Just keep an eye on the leaderboard, everyone, basically.
This is getting really dicey in this last lap. Oh, Gasly just... okay.
Gasly improved. It's Gasly versus Hamilton.
Improved to 15th, so he's right on the edge.
Wow. If he'd gone faster than Hamilton there. Oh. So is Liam Lawson still on the road? Is Liam Lawson still able to knock out?
He looks like he is. He's
Can't
coming
see
in...
a timer, but... I can see a rear view. He looks like he's looking right. I think Liam Lawson must have abandoned his lap.
Oh, I guess so.
Wow, Hamilton was, I'll give you the exact time. He was 1.5 tenths off being knocked out, which is nothing due to how long this track is. So that was scary for Hamilton. Let us know what you think about that in the chats. Sarah's saying, so Lewis Hamilton confused why he ran out of power. He ran out of gas.
Oh,
Did he literally run out of
no.
fuel? Ferrari strategy giving me great hair. So that's coming from Sarah on the grid in Race Centre Live. I could believe that.
Yeah.
Did he go back on hybrid power then?
It's very possible, and it looks like Liam slipped out of track limits, and that's how he abandoned the lap. He said he just
Oh
lost
yeah,
the grip.
on the edge of Stowe, which is so easy to do. Stowe easy to do.
So easy to do.
Can we get a confirmation maybe on Lewis Hamilton running out of?
Yes.
I'm going to translate into my British English, I guess petrol, whatever they use, fuel.
Now, if he ran out of petrol, if you will, would that not? I mean, are they allowed to refuel?
They refuel in the pit. Yes, they do refuel in the garage.
Okay.
And in fact, no, it's not, so his radio called over low fuel. Maybe they were worried about him not having enough to do another push lap, so they had to put him onto a fuel management mode. Chai-Seng confirmed Hamilton just came short of fuel. And Jack saying, how do you run out of gas? I don't know if you asked me earlier, Karen, about what might change in this session. One of them is that if you're doing more, I didn't mention actually, I should have done. If you're doing more laps, not only are you wearing the tires more, but you might run out of fuel because I don't normally do that.
Yeah, Sarah on the grid brought up a great point, trying to get the fastest lap by putting in the least amount of fuel possible. You're managing the weight of the car at the end of the day because that does affect the speed. And there are low end caps, correct? At the end of race day, which is what we'll see tomorrow, there is a minimum amount of fuel they have to have in the car at the end of the race to keep them from doing essentially what Lewis just did in Q1, but on race day and coming in with zero petrol or gas left. They actually have to have a minimum amount or else they will get disqualified.
I think the reason for that strictly is that there needs to be enough amount to be able to collect a fuel sample. So they can collect a fuel sample. Because a little known thing about Formula One is that actually I believe the teams all run their own fuel. They all have a big fuel sponsor. It's like Ferrari have Shell and McLaren might have Mobil One or whoever.
Mercedes has Petronas,
Petronas, yes. And I believe they all actually run like their own fuel, which is quite interesting when you think about it. But at the end, there needs to be enough to collect a fuel sample. So if you come in too empty, you can't collect the fuel sample.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting. Last year at the Miami Grand Prix, I had the opportunity to tour the Mercedes garage, and in their garage or garage, if you will, in the back, they have a separate room. So as you see the garage entries when you watch the broadcast from the paddock, against one of those walls in the Mercedes garage is actually a fuel room where they have two engineers that sit there. Their only job is to test the fuel throughout the entire weekend to make sure that it's showing all of the right signs of the things that it needs to have and the various development that they're working on behalf of Petronas and with Petronas, which is it was really neat to see that they have these chemical engineers back there that maybe they have a passion for racing, maybe they don't, but they're sitting there purely working on the fuel.
It makes sense. By the way, incredible stat for Verstappen. He is first fastest on the straights, so in the speed trap, 18th fast in low speed corners, which is interesting. Wow. But it makes sense for these big sponsors, fuel sponsors. Where else are you going to show how good you are at doing fuel than Formula One? So let us know in the chats if you have any more questions. There's no stupid questions on the stream.
None at all.
You ask it, we'll try and answer it. FIA saying weather is dry and stays for the next 20 minutes or so, but also CJ saying forecast shows more rain. So okay, guys, we're going to go just before Q2 starts. I think we're going to see a interview or some drivers talking about their favorite things just before Q2 starts. Let's have a look at that.
British. So what's your favourite British music artist?
The Beatles.
The Beatles? Yeah, the Beatles, I agree.
Got a favourite British meal?
I don't think you have any.
Yeah, I think it's bad. It's just...
If you had to pick.
This must be one.
Fish and chips. For me, it's fish and chips. I thought it was a New Zealand thing, growing up in New Zealand, and I came here and discovered that it wasn't.
It's average. It's just fried fish.
It's good fish and chips is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Your favourite British Formula One driver?
Lewis. Lewis.
Your favourite British biscuit?
A biscuit, but the cereals, the Lucky Charms, are they British
That's
or
probably American, I think. Yeah. Your favourite British actor?
Tom Holland.
Yeah, solid. Spider-Man. Yeah.
Well done.
Maybe the next James Bond.
Jason Statham.
And finally, your favourite British football club?
I don't
Or
watch
soccer?
football.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
None of them. PSG. Yeah. What 3 tracks do you think should never leave the F1 calendar?
Silverstone.
Japan, Spa.
For me, like Melbourne. Like I love Melbourne. Even had a horrible race, but just it was a sick track.
I love qualifying in Monaco, so I'd keep Monaco just for Saturday.
Yeah, Monaco.
So what have we got? We've got Suzuka, we've got Monaco,
Silverstone.
Silverstone. So
Wow. So
I
by
love
the way,
how they named like 5 tracks at the end.
yeah, I know. Q2 still waiting to get underway, by the way, so we're not missing anything. But I thought that was super cool. That seems so natural. That
Mhm.
seems more fun than the Red Bull environment, maybe like less pressure, more just be yourself.
Yeah.
Favorite biscuits. Biscuits is coming up a lot in the stream, I see. I don't know what you thought about that vibe, especially for someone like Liam, who started in the Red Bull environment
Mhm.
and now seems to be really enjoying it in the
Yeah, I think
Barbie
that
environment.
his chemistry with Isaac has been really lovely to see. Just how well they seem to get along, and I don't know if any of you follow the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls social media. It's worth following because they do really, really funny videos together on behalf of the social team. So you don't want to miss it.
Okay, I'll have to check it out for sure. We
Someone,
are now underway.
yes, we are. Shelby said, "I love that they don't like football. Neither do I." Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of football you're talking about. If you're talking about American football, I have to say I do like it. If you're talking about football as it's referred to anywhere else in the world, I could go with or without it. How do you feel about it, Kireth?
I don't think they need to like football. I mean, I have a big sim racing community. I don't think there's a big crossover there. I used to see football every Sunday, and I used to play football 3 times a week. But the sim racing just not really compatible. Bit of
That's fair.
a traffic jam here in the Silverstone pit lane.
I think it looks like everyone wants to get out before the rain gets worse. But my husband's a big Arsenal fan, so we do have to watch the Prem League. But Shelby said she's talking about soccer, American football, or Aussie rules. I agree with you, Shelby. I agree. All right, looks like Max is out there. I can't.
Shows that maybe he wants to get that lap time. Maybe they've got some inside info on the rain.
Oh, I'm seeing Lewis's what? Sir Lewis Hamilton is also out there.
Torto saying, can you please call out how much time is on the timer so I can sync up? On my screen, I see 12 minutes 51 to go. I think it will also pop up in Race Center Live. Sarah on the grid saying in Race Center Live, I think it was the Chinese sprint quali that the McLarens to push, pull, push with the 2 hot laps on 1 run, meaning they had more fuel in their car. Than Sir Lewis Hamilton. Yes, you want to. There is a calculation of like the more liters of fuel you have in your car, you're that much slower. So you do want to get it to the limit, but Lewis Hamilton they went over the limit, and obviously you can't do that. So, and Jack's got some lucky charms. They're always after these lucky charms in the chat.
Speaking of luck, make sure that when these questions come up, that you answer them, and you might be one of the lucky winners to go to the Las Vegas GP. You and a friend. You do have to answer those questions to enter.
Yeah, start prepping now by going on the motorsport fact pages or something.
Yes. Do your rapid research now. Get your flashcards ready.
Fane saying, is there a chance for Max winning the championship? I personally don't think so, but he is fastest on the straights here at Silverstone, which would mean he would be quite difficult to overtake were he to do a Max pole lap special. We will see.
And I have learned in my more recent years of following F1 to never underestimate Max Verstappen. He has an ability to pull it out of nowhere and make things happen for himself. So he is definitely a good asset to have. I don't blame Mercedes for wanting him.
Yeah,
Not
I'm
at
yet to
all.
be told he's favourite for pole in these conditions.
Mhm.
So let's see. And it was Lewis Hamilton who was in danger of being knocked out. However, maybe Lewis Hamilton was able to save some tyres. So we don't know. I think Verstappen has just set a lap time of 125.3, which I recall seems pretty quick from what we were seeing in Q1.
Yes, and I think I just saw Lewis slip a little bit coming into that last corner.
8 tenths off. That's
Ugh.
about 10 years in Formula One. So that's not looking great for Lewis Hamilton. He needs to kind of bring it together.
Mhm. But he still has about 10 and a half minutes to do it. Oscar looks like he's going very fast. Kireth is about to look very smart, I'm sure, for predicting an Oscar pole.
Well, I don't know if I'm getting this right, but on Race Center Live, it says 0.0000. Did they set the same time?
Oh, it looks like it.
They set the same time.
Wow.
Happened again, like Canada last year. I can't remember the rule. I think if you said it first,
The rule is whoever sets it first gets the position, and that whoever sets the simultaneous time is then the position behind. This was very controversial. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when Sebastian Vettel and Mick Schumacher set the exact same time at the end of Q1, and it meant whether you make it through to Q2 or not.
Mhm.
And it was very emotional because if you don't know, Sebastian Vettel is very, very close personally to Mick Schumacher. They're very close family friends. And so Sebastian ended up making it through to Q2 and he came out and apologized to Mick afterwards because he had set the time first.
I just saw Keanu Reeves is on site. I think he's narrating a new documentary like he did for Braun. I think it might be about Haas,
Yes.
maybe.
For those of you that are pop culture fans,
Oh, Cadillac.
he is a big motorsport fan in general. I think it was last year at the Indy 500 he waved the checkered flag. He's a big motorsport fan in general.
Driving Toyota GI6 as well. Yeah, Sarah and Jay Parrott in Race Center Live saying it's Cadillac. Michael's going to take all the Keanu I can get. That's
Yes.
your flow. 8.5 minutes to go. I might just do a quick explanation of what's happening right now. So it's Q2. It's the middle part of qualifying. So after Q1 happens Q2, and then we're going to do Q3. And in Q2, we want to see the top 10 drivers who are going to go through to the final part of qualifying. So again, you don't want to be in the bottom 5. You want to be in the top 10. Hamilton, Antonelli, Leclerc, Gasly, and Tsunoda currently in the bottom 5.
So this is not good to see for the Ferraris. Looks like Sarah on the grid is sweating a little bit because we're seeing both of the Ferraris down in that bottom 5. Do you think they can improve?
I think so. Yeah, I think they'll be able to improve. It doesn't look like it's raining or getting heavier rain from what I can see.
Oh, Zayarad says they were on used sets, so maybe they'll put them in some fresh tires and throw them back out there.
Maybe. And Shelby saying Gordon Ramsay there as well. I'll take Keanu over him anytime. Well, if you do win the tickets to go to Las Vegas, last time I was there, Gordon Ramsay seems to own everything in Las Vegas. So maybe
yes, Gordon Ramsay in Las Vegas and in Miami has an experience called the Gordon Ramsay experience. It's part of the pit lane. So it's where it's like a section where the garages are, but if you have a VIP pass to his experience, you go in and he just cooks for you. I mean, it's just all food from his restaurant, and it's all you can eat, and you sit not up above where like the Paddock Club is, but actually in one of the garages. It's pretty nuts.
very nice. That sounds
Can't
like
say
an
I've done it
insane
myself,
experience.
but it's very cool.
Fancy. Yeah, let's go into the quiz. I don't know whether we're going to be able to show a question. Maybe we'll leave that till after Q2 so we don't miss anything. Just watching a replay of Max Verstappen going through Magus and Beckett where, there was a lapped car on the outside.
He was complaining about the gear box as well at one point.
Yeah, it seems like lap traffic is causing some issues here. But essentially, let's talk a little bit about the prize because it is important. So you need to be in that link on the screen right now, motorsport.com/RCL. It is a giveaway Motorsport are doing where you and a friend can go to the Las Vegas Grand Prix. I believe travel, accommodation, all sorted for you buy Motorsport, there'll be terms and conditions in Race Centre Live. But importantly, if you want to be in a chance of winning that, you have to answer correctly the quiz questions coming up today, and also in Austin for the USGP Race Centre Live then as well. So that's heads up. You really want to, if you're eligible, answer these questions so you win a chance of winning it, because it is an insane prize. And I think I saw someone in Race Centre Live earlier who'd been on a previous trip with Motorsport, and they said it was amazing. So that might come up quite quickly, those quiz questions. So that's where you need to be for it. But
You
at the
really,
moment,
really don't want to miss it.
yeah, you'll be kicking yourself and miss it,
Okay.
especially if you know the answers.
Yeah.
So 5 minutes 20 to go. Lewis Hamilton is in the pits, but I believe they're readying him to go out again. Do you want to just let us know who's in the bottom 5, Caroline? Who are we concerned about in that
So
bottom
we are
5?
primarily concerned for both Ferrari drivers. We have Hamilton in 11th, and then we have Kimi Antonelli in 12th, who some of the other drivers have been complaining about over the radio, just a little bit of potential impeding, but we'll see. It doesn't look like anything is under review. And then behind Kimi Antonelli, we have Charles Leclerc in 13th, and then Pierre Gasly in 14th, and then also Yuki Tsunoda all the way down in 15th, which is shocking to see considering we have Max Verstappen all the way up in 2nd.
Yeah.
I think I just saw them put fresh softs on Lewis. Yes?
They look absolutely fresh to me. So all drivers now are basically being ready to go out. And I wonder if we're going to see 2 flying laps here, because they've gone out
There's
with 4 minutes
time.
20 to go. Yeah. So we will see. Just checking in on Race Centre Live, Jay Paris saying Ferrari need to get it together, and Niddy saying let us know if Charles or Lewis can still go through. They can, but they need to set a fast lap time. So at the moment, it's not looking fantastic. Am I seeing some sun now at Silverstone? I believe so. So it looks like the track might be a bit warmer, and that can mean that the cars can drive faster, because there's just more grip available, basically. They prefer driving on hotter tarmac.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it also looks like there are some games afoot in the pit lane, leaving the garages. Oscar Piastri looks like he's flagged on his radio that there was a little bit of game playing going on. He didn't say specifically who, but I do also think it's worth noting that we have both Haas's and both Williams in the top 10 right now. If you're fairly new to the sport, that is pretty rare to see. But it's largely in part because we have both Ferraris and we have a Red Bull and a Mercedes in the bottom 5, which I anticipate that changing very soon, but anything's possible.
You think the Haas's are going to be vulnerable there? I think it was the Ferraris that Piastri, in a typical Piastri way, wasn't happy about, but he didn't even sound like he was unhappy. But yes, 2 minutes 50 to go. So keep an eye on the leaderboard that Mike, our producer, is going to be rotating for you, so you can see who's vulnerable. Everyone's going to be out on that fastest soft tyre. Can the Haas stay in there? It's a bit academic for Behrman because he's got a 10-place grid penalty. So even if he gets through to Q3 and P10, he might still be finished starting last, which isn't great. I see Adrian Newey is inspecting the Aston Martin.
I was going to say, yeah, he's already in the garage, and it's a bit of a statement here in Silverstone seeing him in that garage, because for those of you that might be new, he was taken from Red Bull. He is largely, I mean, it's a huge team effort, of course, but he is a bit of the brilliant mind behind some of the Red Bull domination over the last 5-ish years. And now he is over at Aston Martin, which is a big, big move.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go back, I'd say 25 years, without aging myself, maybe even 30 years, and see how many of those cars that won, even when some of the cars I was talking about at McLaren from like 98, 99, when they won the constructors, that has Adrian Newey's fingerprints over it, and even the Williams before that was so dominant. So he really, exactly, there are loads of people involved, but he is just a step above, and that would be quite intimidating maybe to the other teams to see him there and think what they're going to be up against next year.
If you're looking for your next night read, if you will, make sure you check out How to Build an F1 Car by Adrian Newey. It's a little bit of a glimpse into his mind and how he has been so successful in building Formula One cars.
Yeah. It's a really good book, that one. Great
Mhm.
gift, I would say.
It is a great gift because it's also a pretty book that you can put on as a coffee table book as well.
Hamilton fastest, I'm hearing, and look at the leaderboard. Hamilton fastest is being reported. He looked like he's on a quick lap. There's 46 seconds to go. Yes, both are Ferrari's fastest now. So maybe they're timing it just right, and the grandstands are,
Going
erupting.
bonkers.
Yeah. So
And
Lewis
you
Hamilton
see
topping it.
You see there, that was Lewis Hamilton's brother, who is also a racer, and that is Charles Leclerc's girlfriend, who is stunning as always. But this could mean big things for Ferrari to have a 1-2 start, front row lockout for the race tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to get shuffled for Q3, but it's a strong statement. F1 Kiki, let's go Ferrari boys. Niddy getting chills. Shelby says maybe this is a gameplay you were talking about, where there
It
was a little
could
bit.
be. Oscar might have called it from the very beginning. We'll have to see. I'm getting chills too, Needy 1102. I'm getting chills too.
So, with the timer now gone over, it's just going to be people finishing their laps. At the moment, Sainz, Tsunoda in that drop zone. Albon, Antonelli was down there, but I believe he's probably just improved if I'm looking at Race Center Live. So the Mercedes barely making it through into Q3.
Oh. Gasly's now made it up ahead of Carlos Sainz, so now Carlos Sainz is in trouble in 10th.
Look at Behrman, though. Behrman in P6.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, he has a 10-place grid penalty, so that 6 would convert to 16th.
It's such a shame for Behrman, that. Such
It really
a shame.
Is. Yuki, is he still out there? I mean, he would be looking to improve as well.
On my screen, Yuki is still able to set a lap time, but I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to do it. Look at Gasly in P10 as well. Gasly dragging that car. And it's shaping up for a very interesting Q3. Can Fernando Alonso do something as well?
Oh, it looks like Alex Albon is complaining a little bit about the setup, that maybe it wasn't quite ideal for this qualifying.
And Yuki knocked out. Phil, looks like you're talking about IMAX. You might be delayed on the stream. You're about an hour behind. So hit that live button, or you can enjoy everything that's going to happen. So people let Phil know in chat he should catch up. And yeah, Sarah's saying, wow, Behrman. I agree.
This is very, very exciting for him because this is also a home race for Ollie Behrman. He is a Brit, and now he has an opportunity to really make a difference for that 10-place grid penalty. Yes, it will still hurt him significantly, but making it into Q3 gives him the best possible chance at making up places and putting himself in a good place to make up places tomorrow.
Oh my, was that Behrman though?
That looked like it's marking Esteban Ocon, but
either Ocon or Behrman locking up into into village, basically. And
just came to a complete stop.
He was trying to get out of the way for Verstappen, but he's on the entry curb a little bit. So not great for Verstappen there. Thanks, by the way, Demon Center, for joining the membership. Really appreciate that. Ocon, I mean, he's put the wheel out already as the car's getting wheeled in. I think he probably won't be too happy with his team not giving him a heads up that Verstappen was on a flying lap, because he could have pulled out the way a lot earlier. And also he's seen himself roundly beaten here by Oliver Behrman, which is probably not the way around Haas would have wanted it.
Probably not, but I do think that they're grateful to just have made it out of Q1 and be in the fight in Q2, and now to have Ollie going into Q3. Speaking of Ollie Behrman, we were tongue-in-cheek joking earlier that Haas has such an opportunity with Ollie Behrman to have some teddy bear merch, which would be
Let us know if you
exciting
want to see it.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you want to see it.
And I'm seeing a few images of the Ferrari just like running so low on the plank. They really want to seal it off, that area, to kind of get the airflow nice through the channels in the floor. But it's just incredible to see how low that floor is to the tarmac.
Now, are they at risk of rubbing that floor too much and looking at another disqualification?
Definitely. I would say so. When you're running the car low like that, You're also at danger of damaging the floor over curbs. If you're trying to overtake someone, you get squeezed out, you hit a curb. There's not enough. There's nowhere for that floor to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Needy1102 said, when does Q2 end? Q2 has ended. We are now in the break between Q2 and Q3. If you're fairly new to us here, we are going into Q3. That decides the top 10 starting places for tomorrow's grid.
Yeah, now it's all up for grabs for those top 10 drivers. And what is also up for grabs is the incredible prize I've mentioned earlier. Trip, I would say trip of a lifetime, really, with a friend to the Las Vegas Grand Prix, travel and accommodation. Motorsport are going to look after you. All the terms and conditions exactly are in Race Centre Live. So if we can pull up the URL that people need to go to, wherever you're watching on, because I know we're going out on loads of different platforms, motorsport.com/RCL. I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to get in there. So you want to get in there and join Race Centre Live, because in about 30 seconds, we're going to put up some quiz questions. And you really want to be entering. Like, someone's going to win this. It's an incredible prize. And I really want you to win as well. So,
yes.
Get yourself ready. Sharpen those, those whatever you're going to use to choose your answers.
Thumbs
Get
or pointer fingers, yes.
Get your strategy now, yeah. You're going to thumb it in.
But you also have to turn your brains on, because these questions are not easy questions, but worth it at the end of the day, because the Las Vegas GP, it's a GP unlike any other. You really, really don't want to miss it. It is not only at night and also a street race, but every year that they've gone there, something incredibly exciting has happened. And to be there live and in person when it does, you really don't want to miss it.
Yeah, and the championship could go down to the line there as well. So first question is coming up now. Good luck, everyone, because we can't help you, but I will read it out. Who won the 2024 British Grand Prix?
Hint, we mentioned it earlier in this stream. So if you were here with us at the beginning, you had a little cheat sheet. I didn't even know that this was going to be one of the questions.
So good luck. You can see there's not a lot of time to answer it. Whoever wins this is going to deserve it, I'd say.
That's right.
And there might be another question coming up after this as well, so just be aware. Which driver has won the most British GP races of all time? We also alluded to this earlier, I would say.
Yes. Not quite so explicitly, but if you had your listening ears turned on, as Teacher Caroline would say, then you should be ready for this one.
And I think our producer Mike is going to throw up another question as well. So good luck with this one about to pop up. It's a 4-night hotel stay, 3-day grandstand tickets for 2, round-trip flights.
Which constructor has the most British GP victories? This is a hard question.
That is a really tough one.
Kireth, do you think you know?
I would have a guess, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't help you guys with this one.
So I think that's it for the questions for the moment, but obviously stay tuned because you want to be answering as many correct as you can. Sarah on the grid saying, Ruth, who's an ex-F1 strategist now working in the media, saying, a lap's worth of fuel is worth 600ths of a second around here.
Wow.
That's a huge amount of time.
That's insane. It does look like we have Q3 underway. The cars are lining up in the pit lane. It's amazing what a difference that fuel load is worth at the end of the day. And then, I mean, we saw what it meant for Lewis there in Q2.
Yeah, it's the same in karting as well. Like a lot of these trophies are stuff that I've won in karting. And that fuel is basically your body in karting.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to win a championship, you really want to try and get as close to your weight limit as possible. If you're above your weight limit, and I saw a question earlier in the chat, like, Yuki's a pretty small driver. Does that help Red Bull? In some instances, it actually can. Like, Nico Hulkenberg is a taller driver, and I think that has compromised things at times. So weight equals speed, I think is the best way to put it. But not, you know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Well, and the drivers have very, very strict eating and workout regimens as well in order to stay with a certain weight range. I
Mhm.
saw there was an interview with Lewis Hamilton in the fan zone. I believe it was in Austria where he was talking about how he was like, they asked if he had eaten things that he liked. And he said, yes, I had to skip breakfast this morning because I ate too much yesterday so that I could be ready for the car this afternoon. So that's definitely a challenge for these drivers going around the world eating this amazing food and having all these amazing culinary experiences, but they still have to fit that weight limit for the car.
Yeah, we have more freedom than F1 drivers. You can tell yourself every time you get a
Exactly. Every
burger or
time you
something.
get that extra cookie or that extra brownie, it's like, I deserve this. I don't have to drive a car later.
So about 10 minutes to go in Q3. No one's set at that time yet. I think it would be a good time again to check in with everyone and let us know in the chats who do you think is going to get on pole position, just to take us back a long time ago now, it feels like. I predicted Oscar and Caroline predicted Lando Norris.
And we might both be wrong and it might be Max.
Yeah. So let us know. Keanu Reeves is now on the pit wall. Pretty soon he's going to be running the whole show.
Yeah. I think he saw what Brad Pitt did and said, I think I'll take a slice of that. Thank you very much. But yeah, this is the qualifying session where it is do or die. This is where the timings are decided for those top 10. So get your predictions in now and we'll see who's right.
I've got a few coming in. You've writing Hamilton, BCR saying Verstappen. Let us know in Race Centre live chat as well who you think is going to be on pole, because you're going to feel good if you get it right, and you don't lose anything if you don't get it right. Here
Oh,
we
I'm
go.
seeing 2 Oscars. Well, okay, here's the net. Well, I also want to know, Kireth, will you cry if Sir Lewis Hamilton puts it on pole?
Probably not, to be honest. To be honest with you, but it'll be pretty cool if he does.
Yeah, I would definitely get chills.
I think it was emotional for a lot of people when he won. I'm not sure I'm going to say now, but when he won the last time, I think it was almost like a redeeming moment given what's happened to him in the latter part of his career.
So we are seeing purple sectors from Oscar Piastri compared to Max Verstappen. Max did just do I think a third sector 3 purple.
We'll see when Mike
Yes.
flicks it over to the top leaderboard. We'll be able to see what the times are.
Oh, okay. Dicey.
Piastri, Norris, Verstappen is what we have at the moment. So
Looks like Piastri's gone on pole.
Yeah.
For now.
If the rain comes down, that might be it. But if the rain's not going to come down, I would imagine all these drivers are going to come back in the pits and we'll get one more run, actually. So it looks like a more traditional Q3 qualifying session. Some people saying Behrman. That would be incredible. Maybe Behrman's raising his game for his home GP.
I mean, it would be the most painful pole position he's probably ever gotten, because then he'd have to face that 10 place grid penalty.
Bittersweet.
Yeah.
Verstappen on the radio saying that his car is difficult. He might be setting himself up for not. And Hamilton, did I just see Hamilton go P2? I think
Lewis
I did.
Hamilton has gone P2 by
Split the
0.135 seconds.
And Fernando Alonso P7. So it looks like maybe Hamilton can get this done, which is interesting because we've always thought Charles Leclerc is a lot of people have thought Charles Leclerc is a better qualifier than Lewis Hamilton. But Hamilton, as it stands, provisionally would be starting on the first row of the grid with Oscar Piastri, who's just phoned into McLaren to say, check the floor. So he may have hit a curb.
I said it earlier on the stream, there is just a different gear that Lewis turns on when he is in Silverstone. It's something that scientists really should study, because it has to be mental. I mean, it's amazing to see what he does. Oh, and I think that the camera's just clipped over to Lewis's mom, it has to be such an emotional moment for her to get to see her son driving in the red at their home race. I mean, how exciting.
Yeah, and probably not too many times it's going to happen more. So yeah, it's time to enjoy it. Thanks, Nod. There'll be some surveys after the stream, I believe, and maybe some gift cards as part of that potentially. So Motorsport always keen to have your feedback, whether it's on leaderboards or anything else. But I can see Race Centre Live, Nidhi saying he knows the tracks in and out. Kiki saying home field advantage.
Definitely comes into play.
Should we can allow ourselves maybe, Caroline, to do a stick or twist if we want to change our predictions
Ooh,
with the Lewis
okay.
Hamilton wild card.
Oh, see, I'm so conflicted because of course I want to see Lewis Hamilton on pole. I think I'm gonna stick with Lando, and I also think I might be wrong. But what do you think?
I feel like I have to sit with Oscar. Oh,
Yeah.
he did run over the curbs on the exit of Stowe. The sawtooth curbs there. Let's see if I can see any sparks flying from the rear end of that McLaren. Oh, yes, lots of sparks flying. So you might have lost a little bit of downforce, and this is not the circuit you want to do that. So Piastri, they won't be able to fix that. So Piastri might not be able to improve. So if Lewis Hamilton's thinking, you know what, I've got another 10th and a half here if I really go for it.
Now, you mentioned they wouldn't be able to fix that. They wouldn't be able to fix that before he goes back out or before tomorrow?
Definitely not before he goes back out now. They might be able to replace it for tomorrow. There's regulations about that called part of fame, which are very complicated for me. But definitely not for this part.
For this next run, definitely. Now, as you're watching, in case you are newer to watching the broadcast, you'll see in the bottom when it's keeping track of the various drivers' times. Sometimes it shows up yellow, sometimes it shows up green, sometimes it shows up purple. Not to be confused with our traffic lights. That is just a way to gauge within the sectors how they're doing in comparison to the benchmark they're trying to pass. So for this qualifying session, it's going to be based off of the leader or whoever has the time in first. So if it's yellow, it means they're a little bit behind the time. If it's green, it means that they're a little bit ahead of the time. If it's purple, it means that they have set the fastest time in that sector. So you're looking for greens and purples for your favorite driver to go faster, to put it on pole. Yellow doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means not faster than first.
Yeah, looking for those purples. I wonder, Caroline, we should also open up with 4 minutes to go. All the cars coming out. I can see Yogi, the Legal in Race Centre Live, putting Oscar in pole. Ramba saying Oscar. F1 Kiki as well. Nidhi, Sarah. Let us know who you're backing right now. What's your gut saying?
Yeah. You've got 3 minutes to tell us, and then it's all over.
It doesn't count if you tell us after 3 minutes.
That's right.
So I would say
it's nice. They're showing us some of the previous polls. We saw George Russell on pole last year, Max Verstappen on pole the year before, Carlos Sainz on pole the year before that. That was an iconic year when he won in Silverstone. That was quite a year. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't really have a chance of doing it today because he didn't make it out of Q2, but we could see it for Sir Lewis Hamilton. Don't forget to tell us in the Race Center Live chat who you think is going to be on pole today. Oh, I love the clips over to the Lando stand. Have you seen any of the Lando stand merch, Kireth?
With the wavy stuff. I've seen a bit of it.
Yeah.
It's got a vibe for sure.
It's definitely a purely Lando Norris vibe. I did see some complaints from people, and it's a tongue-in-cheek complaint. It's not, I mean, they love the merch, but they said Lando's so iconically known for his bucket hats. Why would they not do a Lando bucket hat?
Well, I've seen people make their own merch actually, which is quite cool. I like that. Vlak saying Oscar, half guys are saying Lando. Nidhi saying Lewis and Charles.
Yeah. Oh, Lewis and Charles. Interesting. Yeah. They're going to share it.
So thanks, everyone.
They're hedging their bets. They're saying, I'm giving 2 answers so that then I have a 50-50 chance of being right.
Well, there's 2 minutes to go, and we'll try and update you on those green and purples, like Caroline was saying, so you can feel it play by play, so to speak. It's a bit almost like a boxing match or something. It's round by round.
It is. Ding, ding, ding. Let it begin. Lando's already out on his flying lap now in the first sector, looking fast.
I think the McLarens are going to be first to finish.
Yes. Which, is there an advantage here, or do you want to be one of the last ones across the line?
Goes back to the question you asked earlier about track evolution. Like if the track is fastest at the end, you want to be last, but there's a risk of safety car or a yellow flag if you're at the back of the train. So historically, being back of the train has been where you want to be. I don't know who is back of the train here. Yeah, and Sarah's answered that question in Race Centre Live. Green is personal best,
Yes,
purple
is
is
best on the
best.
track.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a really good point because we just saw green for Lando in the first sector and a purple for Oscar in the first sector. But Lando's time was still a little bit behind Oscar's.
Yeah, I mean, Oscar is already first, so he's likely got to set purples to be faster because
Ooh.
his lap has to be purple. To be
Lewis
faster.
Hamilton just set a fastest sector 1.
Wow, here
Ladies
we
and
go.
gentlemen, this is getting dicey.
So as it stands, Lewis is fast on track, but Lando set a purple sector 2.
Oh,
This could be extremely close. Literally 4D now. Hold on to your seats.
literally.
Oscar
Like
sets
Oscar
exactly the
flows.
same
Yeah.
sector 2, basically.
Oh,
Oh,
it doesn't look like
Lando's going to go over.
Lando's
I don't know
gonna
what he
get him.
does.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, Lando didn't quite get Oscar. Okay, so I'm wrong.
But Lando's P2. Lando's P2 right now. Oscar, big snap of oversteer on the last corner, like with Colapinto. That he doesn't improve because of it. He's still first, but doesn't improve.
It's
So
all
it's going to be
on
down to Hamilton.
Here he comes. Oh,
He's no longer purple, sector 1 and 2. Someone's improved. Don't know what Leclerc's doing. Hamilton goes over. Oh, he's only P4, but he's only a 10th of a second off. But he's
that's
P4.
so close. And it looks like Max has been just absolutely flying out there.
Max purple sector 1. That's why Lewis is no longer purple sector 1. Max purple sector 2 as well. And Max is a quarter of a second up. This could be a generational lap here from Max Verstappen, everyone, as he chucks it into Stowe, exits perfectly, doesn't go as wide as Oscar Piastri, damage the floor, goes into the penultimate corners. Will he get a snap of oversteer on the exit? Caroline, let us know what the lap time's going to be here as he goes over. It's fastest.
It's a lap time of 1 minute, 24 seconds, 0.892. So he improved over Oscar by over a 10th of a second.
Max Verstappen is P1 at Silverstone.
What a finish!
And we didn't see that coming, let's be honest.
No.
We were not.
Not at all. But, you know, I think I said it earlier. He has an ability to pull something out of nothing, and you never see it coming. But what an incredible finish from Max Verstappen. Wow.
I have a lot of thoughts about this. I want to see people's thoughts in the chat right now. Zyra just saying, whoa. Kiki saying, wow.
The best to ever do it.
Snowline gobsmack path. We have to admit Max is a beast. It's not the car.
It's
so
true.
My thought is that, hang on, how important is what Kimi did in Austria?
I think it's essential. I think it was a huge blow to Max's opportunities. However, I also think that it's never over for him until it's over. I mean, he's proven that year after year. But I think Kimi definitely owes him dinner for that, for messing up his chances down. Now, here's my real question, because we're looking at Max P1, Oscar P2. What do we think this first lap is going to look like tomorrow? Because Oscar has proven that he has Max's number and he knows Max's tricks, and he will try to overtake in the more unlikely spots. Are we going to see a kerfuffle between these two tomorrow?
We know Max has the fastest car on circuit on the straights. So if Max can just build that second gap early on, we know he can do a masterclass. I think it was like Japan this year, maybe. Like doing, he can do that masterclass. I was looking at Oscar Piastri, made a mistake on the last corner. Lewis Hamilton was a mess on the last corner, frankly. I wonder if that's pressure, but Verstappen just was absolutely supreme. I just don't know if that elevates Max in like the GOAT conversation, like what he's doing here with this Red Bull. Frankly, if I was Mercedes, I'd be giving him a check with just say, write your number on it, frankly.
Truly. I think that's a bit of the nature of the contract that Toto jokes that he always has on hand for him. It's a bit of a blank check opportunity. Sarah on the grid is hoping for rain tomorrow. That would really mix things up, but Max is known to be pretty successful in the rain.
Yeah, I mean, people say Lewis is pretty good in the rain, but Max as well. Phil's saying in chat, are the fans booing yet? I don't know because I can't hear it, but I'd be interested to know actually whether what the fans are thinking about this or whether they're just applauding and respecting Max Verstappen. But we know at the F175 launch event, they did boo Max Verstappen in London.
Mhm.
So there is some kind of vibe there. But I think you just have to applaud this, frankly, to see what he's done. That lap was insane.
I completely agree. I can't endorse the booze because when you see somebody with this much talent and this much finesse, how can you do anything but applaud what he's able to do and pull out of the car and the talent and skill that he has. It's truly an incredible talent to see.
Thursday, Max looking like Sunny Hayes. Maybe
His
that's the
hair is
comparison.
definitely flowing. I mean, look at that. That's some proper hair right
Yeah.
there. He's been taking notes from Carlos Sainz.
That is a Barnet. Kiki saying, should be a fun race tomorrow. Looking forward to that first turn. Yeah, make sure you're in Race Centre Live tomorrow because there'll be more quiz questions and we're going to be covering the whole race. And Sarah saying, why is Antonelli having a 3-place grid drop? Well, connected with Max Verstappen, it goes back to that first lap incident in Austria last week. Has there been a week break? I can't remember.
Yes, it was a week.
Last time out in Austria where Kimi took out Max Verstappen in lap 1, turn 3. So I just wonder here, if you're the McLaren drivers, do you just actually just feel a bit inferior to Max Verstappen at this moment?
I don't think so. I don't think that they can come into tomorrow with a defeatist mindset of thinking that we don't have this because they are back to back right behind him. So they do have an opportunity if they can stay out of each other's way to maybe try to pull something out and at least give one of them an advantage. That's the real trick that McLaren is facing tomorrow, I think, is having Max, Oscar, Lando. Okay, now we don't have a driver on pole. Who are we prioritizing? I think in our poll earlier, was it Oscar that was winning the poll as to which drivers should be prioritized?
Maybe Mike, our producer, can pull it up. If I remember when I saw it, it was like that. People asking about. There we go. I think I can just see Oscar Piastri 100%.
100%.
So no doubts about it. And people asking, is there a chance of rain or safety car tomorrow? I think there's a chance of both. We also might have a weather forecast we can pull up. I would just note one thing, Caroline, which is something I've noticed this year in Formula One, as we've hit this mature point of the aero regulations, is that often what happens is you have the lead car on pole position. The car in P2 tries to overtake the lead car. And actually what that does is that compromises the car in second, and it's the car in third that overtakes second. That car in third here would be Lando, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if we could see the McLarens end up side by side as we go into the congested village part of the Silverstone circuit.
It would definitely be an exciting move to witness. I think that Oscar has to be okay a little bit with being the sacrificial lamb in that moment to open that door for Lando. I think he's proven in the past that he's willing to do it. But you also have to beg the question with Oscar leading the championship. It's just a shame that he wouldn't see that first position taken in that moment. But there's definitely plenty of drama still to develop between now and tomorrow. I think we're having a conversation about pancakes over in the chat, making me a little bit hungry. You guys are clearly over here in America. Yeah. You guys are clearly over here in America. Make sure you put your favorite driver's logo on those pancakes if you're able to give them some good juju going into tomorrow.
Some very interesting questions coming in. Phil saying, let them race, papaya ruled. Sarah on the grid saying, with McLaren, they need to choose to go for a World Drivers' Championship if they want to keep drivers. Having spent a lot of time with McLaren last weekend, I honestly think they don't care as much as the Drivers' Championship as the Constructors. I think Constructors is huge for McLaren because they're in the business of selling cars. So I think they trade on that a lot, and I think it materially affects their business bottom line. So I think, unlike maybe Red Bull, Red Bull are clearly favouring the Drivers' Championship over Constructors, I would say. I think McLaren are almost that much the other way. I think Constructors is critical for them. So that's just my perspective, having spent a lot of time with McLaren. But Zyrod makes a good point, saying constructors is locked in. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because I was going to ask if do you think that de-incentivizes drivers to go to McLaren, knowing that they're not going to prioritize a driver's championship, but that instead they would prioritize a constructors championship?
that is a great question. That's a fantastic question, I think, especially if you're someone like, let's say, Alex Dunn, who's a junior. He's an F2 McLaren driver. He jumped in the car for Austria and set blistering tyres on FP3. I've been speaking with people behind the scenes about where's Alex Dunn going to go, because he's clearly got the talent. Maybe McLaren is not the best place for him, because if you look at someone like Oliver Behrman can establish himself as a number one at Haas. Alex Albon established himself as a number one at Williams. And you can have more development, work more with the team on the development of the car, etc. Whereas McLaren just do seem to have this 2 number 1 driver thing, which I would translate as there is no one number 1 driver. You have 2 number 2 drivers. So I think it's a super interesting question. Interested to know what
you guys think in the chat.
Yeah,
definitely.
Looks like Sarah agrees with you. So that's what I'm saying, Caroline.
Thanks, Sarah. Well, I did see a comment from Christian Horner today in today's press conference before qualifying, because they had him in there with Zach Brown, and they were speculating to Christian, asking, well, if Max leaves to go to Mercedes like everybody thinks so, who would you bring in to replace Max? And he looked at Zach Brown and said, Oscar Piastri. So that could be really juicy.
I think tongue very firmly in cheek there.
Yes.
But you never know with Christian Horner. Interesting character.
That's right.
I just think, like, I've got to be honest, and like I've been sipping on my McLaren goodies that I got last week. But like, I think it's so much more interesting that Verstappen's on pole than either one of our predictions.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
Sarah's going to go, but thanks for the great coverage. Thanks so much, Sarah. I think motorsport, and it either be today or tomorrow, I'm not sure, but there is going to be a survey at some point, and I understand that the first number of people who respond to the survey, there you go, we'll get a gift card, potentially on the Formula One store or something like that. So there is a gift card involved. And it's really important, I would say, give your honest feedback, because I know that motorsport really want to keep improving this experience, and they want to make it as good as possible for you watching. So they need to hear your feedback, basically. I don't know if you have any thoughts, Caroline, on what people can do to give their feedback on.
Oh, absolutely. Always take a survey, because this merch is getting very expensive. And so if you have the opportunity to get some money off, or even some merch completely covered, just because you answered some questions that help us to help you, we want this experience to be the best it can be for you. We want you to feel like you're here watching with us and sitting with us, and that we are conversing with you. So make sure you take that survey so that we can keep doing this in the best way for you guys.
Yeah. And I guess that will appear in Race Centre Live. So if you've enjoyed today, great news for you, because we're both going to be back tomorrow for the actual race. The times are there, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So you can have it with your breakfast pancakes. Amazing. And I can't wait for it. I am super excited. I'm going to be, after this, reading all about what's happened, some other stories. But basically, if you enjoyed it today, please come back tomorrow. I would say bring a friend as well. Like, if you've got friends in your Discords or Instagram or wherever your community is, or you're hanging out, bring them along, because they can ask any questions they want, and it's going to be a great opportunity. It's going to be a nice, long watch-along stream. Any final thoughts, Caroline, as we say goodbye to everyone? And
with Max starting on pole tomorrow, I will keep you guys updated whether or not my daughter is awake or asleep to see this Max Verstappen potential win or loss, and see if the lore still stands. But other than that, I cannot wait to see all of you tomorrow, to hear what you have to say. I might show up with some pancakes myself to enjoy during the stream, because it will be early for me as well. Maybe Kireth can show up with his, what's it called, the cocktail?
The Pims.
The Pims.
Yeah,
He might show
probably
up with
not
the
too much
Pims.
on stream, but yeah.
But other than that, thank you so much, Kireth, for having me. This has been a complete delight, and I cannot wait for tomorrow.
Awesome. We'll see you all tomorrow.